Hi everyone, I wanted to make a video just to cover some more of the concepts that are covered in section 10.5 that we discussed last week. So this question is using the points, down payment in points. And we need to remember that each point is actually 1% of the mortgage amount. Okay, so whenever you have a mortgage with points, 1 point equals 1% of the mortgage. Okay. So let's answer the parts of this question. So the Fritzes are buying a house that sells for $77,000. The bank is requiring a minimum payment of 20% to obtain a 30-year mortgage at 12.5% interest. They must pay 3 points at the time of closing. So part A, we want to determine the required down payment. So what we want to do is we want to find the down payment is 20% of what? It's 20% of the price for which the house is selling for. So this is 77,000. Yeah, okay. So we want to do 20% of that. So 0.20 times 77,000, and that'll give us our down payment that they need to pay. And we get 15,400. Okay, so that's our down payment. And then part B says determine the amount of the mortgage on the property with that 20% down payment. So if the house is selling for $77,000 and we want to find the amount they're going to mortgage, then we need to subtract the down payment from our 77,000. Okay, so 77,000 minus that 15,400, and the mortgage amount will be $61,600. And then the last part of this question asks us to find the closing costs if they have to pay 3 points on the mortgage. So they have to pay 3 points for the mortgage amount at closing. And remember, 1 point equals 1%. So if they have to pay 3 points, then we want to find 3% of our mortgage amount. So 3% is the same as 0.03. So all we have to do is multiply 0.03 by the mortgage amount by that 61,600. Okay, so 0.03 times the 61,600, and we find out that they have to pay $1,848 at closing. Okay, so that answers that question. Let's do another one. So in this next example, Laura and Martin obtain a 30-year, $130,000 conventional mortgage at 10% on a house selling for $160,000. Their monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, is $1,131. So the 3 parts of this question, part A, determine the total amount they're going to pay for their house. Okay, so remember that to find the total cost of the house, we need to include the principal plus the interest. That's paid for all the payments. Okay. We need to also determine how much they paid out of pocket for the down payment. All right. So let's talk about this first piece of information. They're going to pay $1,131 a month for how many months? They're going to do it for 12 months in 1 year, but then they're going to do this for 30 years. So if we multiply that, we get that they pay $407,160. All right, and that's what they pay over the life of the loan. But they also made a down payment because they are only financing $130,000, but the house sold for $160,000. So if we want to find their down payment amount, then we need to subtract those two. So for down payment, I'm just draw a little arrow. We would do 160,000 minus the 130,000 they financed. And that tells us that they put $30,000 down on the house. So they put $30,000 down on the house. So they paid $30,000 down plus this $407,160 that they paid every month. So we're going to add those two. All right. Just draw an arrow like that. Okay. So the total cost of their house is $437,160. And that's the total cost of the house. Okay. And then the next part of this question, let me scroll back and see what it said. How much of the cost will be the interest? Okay, so how much of the cost will be the interest? So to answer part B, we want to find out how much of the cost is going to be the interest. We need to subtract the total cost of the house minus the purchase price. Okay, and that'll tell us how much was paid in interest. So our total cost of the house was, I can't see that, let me scroll. 400, yeah, there we go. $437,160 minus how much did they purchase the house for? So the purchase price or the listing price of the house, okay? Let's scroll back up and let's see. Was 160,000? Let's see. Yep, it sold for 160,000. So minus 160,000. And that'll tell us how much they paid in interest. And they paid $277,160 in interest. Okay. And then the next part says that we want to find part C. What does it say? How much of the first payment on the mortgage actually goes to the principal? How much of that first payment goes to the principal? So for part C, we want to make sure that we use our simple interest formula, I equals PRT. And this time we want to figure out our principal. So our principal is actually the amount that they financed. And then our interest rate and our time is 1 month. So our time is 1/12, right? Because it's 1 month, 1 out of 12. There's 12 months in a year. All right, and then let's go back. I don't remember the interest rate. Let me scroll and let's see. Our interest rate was 10%. It's a pretty high interest rate for buying a house. Okay, so our interest rate is 10%. Or change it to a decimal, 0.10. All right, so we're going to find our interest. We're going to say our principal was the amount financed, which was the amount after they paid their money down, right? It's the amount after they paid their money down. So it's the actual loan amount that they obtained from the lender, okay? So I think it was 130,000, but let's just double check. Yeah, 130,000. So our interest is going to equal 130,000. 130 times our time, which is our interest, which is 0.10 times our time, which is 112. So 130,000 times 0.10 times 1 divided by 12, and we get 1,083 and 33 cents. So that's the amount of money that goes to the interest every month. So now to answer part C, we need to take our monthly payment minus the interest. So our monthly payment that this family was making was $1,131. $1,131 minus 1. And only $47.67 goes to the principal. Okay. And I think that's it. What we're going to do though, when let's just review some due dates. When we meet on oh, we don't have class on Wednesday because it's a holiday. Oh, what am I saying? Okay. And your test is scheduled to be on Monday. So here's what I would love for you to do. Your test is scheduled to be Monday. Please reply to this email after you've worked through the homework and taken a look at this video as well as the other videos posted if you have any lingering questions.